Well, thanks for joining us today here on TalentSpark TV. Today we have Lorenzo Conte from Crover. So we're looking for a bit of insight from Lorenzo just about his journey, about Crover and how it's come about. So Lorenzo, do you want to introduce yourself and then just give us a bit of insight into who Crover are and what it is that you do?
Thank you for having me, Ewan. Yes, I am, as you said, Lorenzo, the founder of Crover, and we are an Edinburgh-based startup. What we do is we're trying to help grain storekeepers, primarily grain merchants and cooperatives, maintain the quality of their stock. So we're trying to make sure that the same quality of grains that goes into large storages for long term, like sheds and silos, is the same that comes out. And we're doing this by using the first robotic device able to sweep through grains and monitor their condition.
Wow. Okay. How did you come across that idea? How did this idea emerge?
It all started as I was finishing my PhD at the University of Edinburgh, working in the broad field of granular rheology, which is a bit like saying fluid dynamics, but for systems made of solid discrete particles. And I just happened to kind of observe a physical phenomenon that wasn't really known at the time that effectively represents the first feasible method for locomotion in bulk solids. So not just grains, but also sand, powders, and any other granular assembly.
Okay. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey? You mentioned there that it happened at the end of your PhD there, and you obviously spun out of Edinburgh University. Do you want to give us a bit of a timeline as to how you've got to where you are today?
Sure. So we are technically a startup. We're not a spin out, but we've had a lot of support from Edinburgh Innovations, and they've been our biggest supporters from up to this point, paying for a lot of things, especially at the beginning, and also providing some of the best guidance that we've had so far, especially at the very beginning when I had very little idea about what we were doing. So yeah, it took about a bit more than 2 years to kind of get to the point that we're at. Initially, I spent a lot of time learning how to set up a startup because I'm a first-time founder. I've never done this before. I never even considered it until the physical discovery that we made. So yeah, spent a lot of time learning things, putting together a team. Eventually, we managed to put together the amazing team that we have now. We are now a full-time team of 6.
Okay.
And we are getting ready for the first large-scale trials that are starting in a few weeks with 2 grain cooperatives here in the UK.
Okay. So a lot of your job is pitching for investment at the moment, or pitching for funding. I noticed you're doing quite well in some of the competitions. I just wondered, how do you find that pitching process? Do you enjoy it, or is it something that's a wee bit of a frustration, just a necessary evil, if you like?
No, I really enjoy it. I think is one of the most enjoyable parts, honestly, because you do a lot of hard work, and I enjoy, honestly, most of it. But you work really hard, and then pitching is one of those moments where you get to tell other people about the amazing things that you've been doing. So I find it really personally rewarding.
That's good. And the competitions, obviously, you've been through Converge Challenge. You're in for EIE this year, and I noticed that you were part of the TechCrunch Battlefields, which is great. Are these competitions, are they really valuable? Have you found them quite valuable with the support and the help that you've had?
Yeah, as I was mentioning to you before, Ewan, I think there's a lot of noise around the startup ecosystem. There's countless numbers of startups being born every day, and it's really hard for people to kind of cut out the noise and identify which startups are doing something really unique like we are. So I think competitions like this help us kind of raise that profile and make people realize kind of how unique what we're doing is. So it's been extremely valuable so far, and it's helped us kind of raise step by step larger amounts of money.
No, that's good. So if you were going right back and you're about to spin out yourself, I appreciate you're not a spin out, a startup, but with a lot of universities, the great universities we have, there's a lot of opportunity to spin out. If you were back then, what advice would you give to people who are looking to try and spin out now?
I would say not to be afraid and ask people for help and support. There is a fantastic ecosystem across Scotland with a lot of experienced people willing and able to help. And a lot of them you simply have to ask. So don't be afraid, and tell them what you actually need.
Okay. And I guess just one last question. If the ecosystem, so the Mark Logan report came out a couple of weeks ago and really highlighted how strong our ecosystem is and where we need to get to. But if there was one piece of help that you could do with, what sort of things would it be? What would that one thing be?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic report, especially the focus on increasing the training for female engineers and female persons in technical roles. I think that's something that we really need to push for. But at the same time, I feel that the report is primarily focused on digital tech. And as an ecosystem as a whole, Scotland historically has always been strong in digital tech and biotech. And as a hardware-based company, it's quite hard to find support for hardware, especially spaces where you can build things like workshops. So I think it'd be good to diversify the type of support that is available across Scotland to make it possible for other types of startups to get the support that they need.
Okay, awesome. That's been great. Thank you very much for your time today. Do you want to let the guys know where they might be able to find you and get in touch?
Yeah, thank you. And yes, you can find more information about us at www.crover.tech. And you're free to reach me at lorenzo.conti@crover.tech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.